Yeah, man. Thank you so much for how coming to meet with us. I feel like I've been doing this now for a year here at Sync, and one thing that I always see is when the product gets discussed or people start talking about how they learn things, they bring up Lance, who they met at CQ, and training them and going through, kind of the biggest tips and ahas for them and their team. So, you mind, Lance, just giving everyone kind of your background and show just your experience with training a bunch of Sync clients, and we'll
Yeah,
go from there.
I'll save like the whole history of like pre-real estate, but I've been doing real estate now since 2003. Quick highlight reel, moved to Nashville 2005, and pretty much been doing real estate full time from there on. Uh, Fast forward to 2013, I knew internet leads was going to be the way to go, and I've been on a handful of platforms. In fact, one of your predecessors. Um,
Yeah.
and then I got introduced to Commissions Inc. and I was really good friends with the founder of the company.
Mhm.
And one of the very few platforms where I was like, you know what, we're going to actually write down some systems, processes, how to make money with this because we've been making money for internet leads for years leading up to that,
Yeah.
but we never had anything systematized. And that's where we started doing that. Caught the attention of a lot of sync users, both single, solo users as well as teams. And then the founders like,
Yeah.
Lance, come in and see me. Like we got to talk. I need you to help more of my clients.
Yeah.
That was 2014. Fast forward, those were one-off conversations. Finally, in 2015, I'm like, I can't continue doing my real estate business and helping agents. Can you give me a training center? And August 2015 was the launch of Sync University, and
Awesome.
we've been pretty much doing it every month since then. I think we were at
Yeah.
8 events this year and last year, but looking at hopefully bumping that back up in maybe 10 or 12 next year, mostly in Atlanta. But yeah,
Yeah.
ultimately, I don't know. We found out that there's a gap in expectations, learning, uh,
Yeah.
what agents do with the platform and where they can make money and how they're leaving money lost on the table. And I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like we've been able to crack the code and help agents.
Yeah, that's what I love about Lance, because as you kind of hit to it earlier, I do have some experience with some competitors, right, in a previous life, and that's always the kind of the crux of it, right? I mean, one of my favorite stories that I heard like a month ago was a lady maybe not so happy with the platform Sync that she was on. She went to Sync U, and within 30 days, she'd already had like two closings where it wasn't even leads that wasn't there, or they were already there. It's just she wouldn't have the right things, kind of set up in her database, which is why I love the topic of the day, clean up the database. For those that have been here before, I bought a little broom because I'm in my daughter's playroom, like always. And with that, all that wealth of knowledge, Lance, I kind of wrote down some questions from talking to some clients that they would love to hear from you. And the first one that I think majority came from is, what have you seen when you've done all these trainings, all these, like, what's that number one common theme that someone doesn't have in place in their database that really outlines it to make sure they're not leaving, money on the table?
And I'm going to tell you, probably comes down to that organization, right? Because we talk about
Okay.
prospecting, nurture, follow up, working our clients. Each one of those
Yeah.
fit into a different bucket, aka the pipeline.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and everybody's in such a hurry to get them from a new lead to like contact an appointment set, and then they leave them
Hmm.
there and then they just rot away. So
Yeah.
it's one of the first things we go when we start looking at that, and we're like, I mean, you got a killer database of 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 plus leads, but the majority of them are in the contacted stage and you're not touching them, you're not communicating with them. So for me, I always tell everybody like take that time, get that database reorganized, so now you
Yeah.
can start your week out knowing, hey, here's what I'm going to do. Ties into being it,
Yeah.
who do I prospect, who do I nurture, and then a lot of the other ones are just being able to go back in and retarget our old leads to try to get them re-engaged back into the database.
Yeah, and I maybe like some of the agents on here where I feel like I hear that and I get it, right? Like I'm like, hey, I see what you're saying, makes total sense. But probably like them, I get work because I'm not the most organized. So then I instantly might would go in with a good intention. I see 1,000 leads. Like, are there a couple tips and tricks that you could share to really help these agents with taking their sync database today to ensuring that maybe piecing it at a time, or do you suggest no, you gotta swallow the frog and so to
Well,
speak, and put everything
it,
all at once?
I mean, at some point you got to swallow the frog, but
Yeah.
I think once it's done, so I think you and I were talking about this, and it was funny. There was actually a post not long ago in the mastermind page that got into like organizing it, and there was a gentleman in there. I think it was a gentleman. I forget who it was, but they had said, I've got so many leads, I can never, like, it'll take me forever to do that. It really doesn't whenever you really understand like who belongs into what different stages of the pipelines. For me,
Yeah.
one of my daily routines, and I spend less than 5 minutes a day doing this, is going through every one of my pipeline stages.
Yeah.
And it's just that quick visual, like I'm looking at the no stage set. There should be nobody in the no stage set. I know some people have been utilizing that as like a holdover as they import leads. But here's what happens is they import leads. They're like, oh, I got it in there. I'll eventually get to it. And eventually means never, right? So
Right.
we got to get those cleared out of there. Here's another one where I see a lot of people. In fact, it's funny at CINC, and I'm like, hey, click on your new lead category or pipeline stage. How many leads do y'all have in there? And people are like excited. They're like 100, 200, raising their hands. And I was like, that's horrible. You ought to have zero in there, right? The only leads that should be in your new leads are what came in from 8 at night to 8 o'clock in the morning. Got to get those
Yeah.
cleared out of there. I'm gonna tell you, my attempted contact is probably my biggest portion of my database. The majority of my leads, I leave in attempted contact. Uh,
Yeah.
you watch people have conversations with people and they move, not even conversations. Sometimes I'll see them where they say, oh, they answered the phone and hung up on me, so I moved them to contacted. Well, one, that's not a contact, but they get them into that contacted stage too quickly. And then you look back and that lead's never logging in. They're not responsive to any of our nurture calls, text, emails, any type of follow up. It's like, why do we want to continue? Let-
Yeah.
Let's get them back into attempted contact, recycle bin, right? Get them back into attempted contact, let them kind of rerun through that funnel. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, appointment set. I've watched people that like had leads in the appointment set stage that haven't logged in over a year. And I'm like, how's that an appointment set?
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time you talked with them? A year ago. And I'm like, so when's the appointment? Next year? So really it's just going in and getting everybody that's going to be kind of tied into the right pipeline stages. And
Right.
I think
Right.
before this is over with, I mean, like we'll walk through what that looks like on a lot of those different areas.
Cool. Yeah, no, I love hearing that because I mean you're the wealth of knowledge and you've seen it, right? You've seen the folks come in on what they don't have, what they do have. I see Mr. Gary just asked us, what about texting a lead? Is that considered a contacted lead, or is there a definition of contacted lead that you go with? Lance, good question, Mr. Gary.
Great question. All right, so I send a text message out and there's no response. Is that a conversation? I look at contacted as a conversation,
Okay. So
but
it can be in text, it just
it can be
not
text, it could be
okay.
email,
Some correspondence
it could
back
be face
of
to face, phone
yeah.
call, but it's got to be a conversation. I mean, we always talk about gathering two of the five W's.
Okay.
You know what the five W's are? You haven't been to class, but who, what, when, where, why.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at is having that conversation of, like if I text you, I call you, and you're like, I'm busy, click, move on. That's
Yeah.
not contacted. Contacted is actually you and I having a conversation back and forth. And I've actually gone to the standpoint of this over the last few months of even teaching my agents in my own team, leave them attempted contact. If I even have a conversation with you, but when I hang up with you and I don't know what I'm going to say to you on that next conversation, I didn't have a good enough conversation with you. I'm going to leave you attempted contact, put some good notes into the system, and then re-prospect you again until I can get some more information from you. So if you hang
Okay.
up that call and you like, shit, I don't know what I'm going to say to them next. You didn't have that good of a conversation. That's
Yeah.
not contact.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it does the exact like the yeah, I didn't just have a passing by. It was actually a meaningful they meaningful conversation of some sort happened, right? Like whether it be
Yeah.
not necessarily. I mean, I think I'm with you. That's just probably the salesman in me. That's always like a next step always needs to be kind of put out there, right?
Yeah.
But if it's not, then was it good enough to maybe get a huge detail of why they came to the website, what their timeline is? Like so much information going back and forth to where
Well,
they're not just a normal Jim, John, Joe off the
well,
street.
well, so this is a great, I mean, great dialogue because it is. I mean, like we're always as sales, we're programmed. The next step is, hey, the
Yep.
next step is this. But sometimes we can't. We're not ready to get to the next step yet because we're still in the information gathering.
Yep. Yep.
And and here's what happens is I feel like as real estate agents, we get overwhelmed with too many tasks, too many reminders. So I talked to you today. I don't really gather that much information, or I haven't gotten enough to really determine where you are in the sales cycle yet, right?
Yep.
So I'm probably going to leave you attempted contact and reprospect you again later that afternoon or tomorrow, so I can ask
Yep.
more questions. Gives me an
Yep.
opportunity
I
to go
do.
back and ask more questions. Because what happens then is most people are going to wait 30 days to follow back up with you. And then they're going to be
Yeah.
like, shoot, I don't know what to say to Troy because I didn't have a great conversation with him initially. So here's what ends
Yeah.
up happening. They don't do it. I don't know
Yeah.
what to say to you, so I'm just not going to call you. Well,
Yeah.
at that point, leave them attempted contact, let them re-prospect it, right?
Yep, and I do like Chris's conversation, and maybe I missed a step on this. You did give me a little heartburn, Lance, when you talked about me in class, because me in class, you know, whew, it was a struggle. But Miss Chris was asking, do you have a set time? Like, how long do you move them back to attempted contact? Maybe like if it's stalled later in the process, some guidance around that for everyone when
Yeah,
going.
so I kind of mine varies a little bit, but let's just say for this intense purpose, I feel like this will fill the boat for everybody. I've got a couple criterias that I meet. Like if I have you contacted, which out of curiosity, anybody that's on here, go look at your contacted pipeline stage, and I want you to put in two numbers. The very first number I want you to give me total number of leads in your system, and then the second number, tell me how many leads you have contacted, right? And I think that you're going to see an overwhelming of them have a good majority in that contacted stage, which then I want you to ask yourself this, and you don't have to respond, but how many of those are you actually staying in touch with? It's going to be a very
Right.
small percentage of it. Well, I look at it like this. So this is something, like I said, every day I'm in my database looking at all my pipeline stages. But at least if you want to stay up on it and make it easy, it's those little maintenance things, weekly, bi-weekly, no more than once a month. You want to go out there and you want to do that database cleanup. And that's where I'm looking at leads, pipeline stage contacted, last logged in, 90 days to, for me, I put 10,000 in there because I've got leads that are over 5,000 days old, right?
Yeah.
So, um, and when I go in and I look at that, you're going to start realizing how many leads either have overdue reminders or no reminders on them at all, and they're not logging back into your system. So is that truly a contact? And then if you also look at last touch, some of them could be 120, 300, 3,000 days old. Like we just haven't touched them in forever. So I look at it like this. If you're not logging into my system and you're not engaging in conversation with me, I'm going to move you back after 90 days.
Yeah, I was gonna say I see two folks kind of asking the questions around. Oh, Erica, hopefully all is well in Minnesota. I see a couple questions around hey, I'm getting a lot of unsubscribes or a lot of people who are just hanging up on me and not so in those situations, is there a different marketing ploy or where you keep them? I'm trying to see if I'm answering this right or if I'm asking this correctly from
So
trying to
is it,
go
so
ahead.
there a lot of unsubscribes?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Well, interesting enough about the unsubscribes. Um, for years, I always said, if you have a bad phone number and a bad email, or you've unsubscribed to all, I move you to trash. And I had a pretty hard stance on that for the longest time. And then over the last couple of years, we really on the training team started kind of diving in, talking, asking questions about that. And what we realized, and especially whenever you go out to the mastermind pages and stuff, and you're like, closed another unsubscribe, closed another unsubscribe. And I'm like, shit, let's leave them in there. Because here's the cool thing with an unsubscribe. They can still log into our system and I can still call them. I'm still to this day a firm believer that this is a contact business, right? While
Yeah.
texting, emailing, things like that help us, it's making those phone calls. You got to dive in every day and make those phone calls. So if you're unsubscribed from my system and you're still logging in, you're going to hit one of my call filters. I'm going to reach out and call you. Here's probably, in my opinion, one of the top reasons people unsubscribe. We turn them on to automation that is not important to them. Meaning, like, hey, Troy, I talked with you really quick and I didn't really get much from you, so I'm going to turn this nurture campaign on. Well, the
Yeah.
truth is that's not what you want. As a consumer, what do consumers want? They want to see houses, right?
Yeah.
Or they're not going and updating that saved search. Like, look at what they're looking at. So, we teach this at CINC University as well is, within that first week of them being a lead in your database, go out and take a look at what they're looking at and modify their saved search. Some of them come in like, here I'm in Nashville. They'll come in looking in Franklin at that $20 million house. And then reality hits and they get down to their five, six, $700,000 house. Now I got a safe search going out to them that is anything from like 400 some thousand up to 20 million plus. Am I really doing them any favors? No.
Right.
So they're going to unsubscribe. We no longer need the automation going out, like meaning I had a conversation with you. Uh, Automation did its job, have a conversation, but then I forget to turn the automation off. So,
Yeah. And well, I love Miss Carolyn actually just said that she just had someone that unsubscribed, but yet still stays in touch via phone calls, right? So,
yeah,
great point out to like, sometimes the phone might be the way that they want to communicate. I don't know if you were able, Lance, to see some of these numbers that folks
I,
are are throwing out there, some large databases that my Gamecock math can't, see where the commas go, but
well, here's
uh
one. 34,000 plus ish leads. 18,000 of those are contacted. Now, here's my question with that one there is what percentage of that 18,000 are you actually communicating with on a monthly basis? And I think that's a low number. So for me, I would rather get all of those people that I'm not talking to back to attempted contact.
okay.
Once it's back to attempted contact, let's break down kind of like day in the life of a real estate agent. We've got a handful of tasks that we have to do throughout the day. Obviously, we have prospecting, we have our nurture, we've got our appointments that we're doing, whether it's bio consultations, showing homes, writing contracts, things like that, right? But
Yep.
then we also have to work on re-engaging our database, getting some of those old ones back active, looking at properties again. So when your database is organized, you're able to go in and start targeting those attempted contacts, people that haven't logged in forever, people that quit talking to us for whatever reason, to get them re-engaged back into our database. I mean, I always ask, is buying real estate a need or a want?
Yeah.
It's both. It depends on what that person's situation is. I feel like the majority, well, half of my business's needs, the other half are the wants. I mean, I got a lot of people that relocate in, so I know at least half of them that relocate in need a house. The other half, I feel like I want a bigger house. I want a smaller house. Like they don't need it. They want it. And when you want something, sometimes that want fades or something more important comes into play with it, and their real estate needs get put on hold. So by going back re-engaging it, what we're really doing is re-engaging that dream of them having that home ownership, bigger, smaller, and we can go in and do it in targeted groups. But then I don't have to worry about messing up my entire database otherwise. I always tell the story on a reverse prospecting that we do at CINC University. For years, I would always go in and target my entire database, and then I would just hit these blanketed emails that would go out to everybody that was on that list. Well, fast forward, there was one week where I was sending it to a client that I was already having a conversation with.
Yeah.
So now he's getting mad saying, "Why do you keep sending me these homes? knowing this is what I want. And then
Yeah.
I had my agent say, "You're blasting my sphere of influence," which that's no good either. And so I had to really dive in and say, what are we looking at? What do we want to do? And now we have a target every month. I focus on an area of my database. I can go into my database and say, give me all my attempted contacts in Franklin, 500 to a million. That's one little segment of my database now that I can go in and say, I'm going to work this list on the attempted contacts and give me everybody that hasn't logged in over 30 days. And I want to try to get them to get re-engaged, log back in, rebuild that dream, and see what percentage of those people that you can kind of come back out and have that conversation with. So, at the end of the day, I mean, we have our pipeline stages, what? New lead, attempted contact, contacted, appointment set, appointment met, active client, pending client, past client. The goal is to get everybody through all of those stages. Unfortunately, sometimes they hit that trap door and it moves them back to attempted contact, and we got to rerun them through the mousetrap.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. And is it something when folks are like, 'cause I saw one person mention of, hey, well, they're on a team, right? So if they're not maybe the owner of the platform, and I could be just assuming they're, or maybe they are the owner, but like, is there anything specifically for someone who just sees their little like their leads, right? And there's that they can be doing to make sure they're, or does it need to be everyone
Yeah, no,
on the
well, so
she's the owner for, so she did clarify that she's
she
the
is
owner.
the
Sorry.
owner.
Yep, yep, yep.
So,
Oh, not the
well,
owner.
so I look at it like this. So I'm the owner of my platform.
Let's go with
I
not. That was
handle
my bad.
what's that?
It was not, so my bad. It was not. Thank you, Chris.
Um, I'm the owner of it. So, and we do the pond lead routing, which is there. Not going to answer a bunch of questions on the pond on this one. That's a whole other rabbit hole. But I feel like it's my duty responsible to keep that pipeline or that pond organized, clean, ready for my agents to go in and do stuff. If it's done on a round robin basis and you're an agent, like, yeah, I mean, as an agent, it's your responsibility to keep your house clean, right? You can go in and look at that and say, hey, I mean, here's how I look at this. And it's no different than like if I'm importing my sphere of influence. Have I sold you a home? If I have, you're going to be a past client.
Yeah.
And then we got little things that we like to turn on. I'll turn on a monthly property report for you. I have your address, so I'll turn on the marketing report. All my past clients, I turn on a sign-in alert because if you log in, I want to know you're logging in so we can resell you a house. In fact, I was just telling you the story right before we jumped on this one. Had a lead
Yeah.
my database over 4,000 days ago. Google lead. Now he is a past client. We have sold homes. My agent has him back under contract for 1.17 million, closing the middle of November. Sign alert was on. We continue sending him stuff out. So when the guy got ready to look again, he's getting our property alerts, logs back into the system. If you have a past client that logs back into the system and you get alerted, Troy, what should you pick up immediately?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Get the phone and go out and give them a call, right? And so,
Exactly.
yeah, so
Exactly.
come third week of November, we got a 1.17 closing from a 4,000-day-old Google lead that Sync generated for us.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Your boy,
Uh,
Chris Maddox just messaged me 2 nights ago with one that he double ended one, a million
a
dollar one.
million and
Yeah,
yeah, I got that same message.
yeah,
Yeah, so those are my past clients. If I'm currently working with you, meaning we're going to go out and look, you're an active client. If you're if I'm communicating with you and you're communicating back with me, but you're not ready yet, you're contacted, and I have a reminder no more than 30 days out. All the rest of my leads are attempted contact.
okay,
I mean, if I went in right now, I've got 12,000 leads. I've got my other computer here. Um, when I go in and I look at that, I will tell you what I have with my contacted. Dun, 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 dun. Pipeline stages, contacted. Give me a second while it's pulling up. Turn off my agents.
we're getting a lot of questions about. Tell us more about the sign in alerts.
All right, so out
Think
of
scary.
11,000, I mean, we got 11,162 leads. How many do you think I have in my contacted pipeline stage?
I feel like it's a trick question, and this is where you're gonna realize that class wasn't always my strong suit.
That's all right.
um, so 11,000. I'm gonna say attempted contact. I'm gonna say 10,000.
I have 11,162 total leads. 30 of them are in the contacted pipeline stage.
Oh, contact. Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Meaning,
see.
so
Sorry.
but here's
Sorry.
the deal that everyone's like, wow, that's so low. Is it though? Those are the 30 leads that we've had conversations with that it's kind of like the batter's box, right? Like we're
Yeah.
no, they're responsive to us. They still need or want to do real estate, and they're either actively logging in, looking at our website. We've got some of them that are not actively logging in, but by God, every month that I reach out to them, they respond.
Yep. Yeah. They see you as the consultant. I think that people forget sometimes because we're mostly all salespeople that are within our field talking about this, and it's just my opinion. That they forget that when you are the trusted resource, and they keep coming back to you for any type of question they have, like that's the place you want to be, right? It's not necessarily that you have to sell them within that first 2 days. If you do, great, right? But when you're the trusted resource, that means that they'll talk about you. That means they'll send you referrals. That means that they look at you as their guy or gal. I will say a lot of people did better in class than me because I see that a lot of them had around your contacted number. Um, but yeah, that's a that's a good share. Okay,
So I saw
yep.
Erica's in here about the trending leads. I like trending leads, but don't make that a priority over calling your P1, twos, and threes. Schedule your P1s and twos and threes first. Get those calls knocked out of the way, and then if you have time, go back into the trending lead and retarget those ones secondary. That would be my one there. You said somebody was asking, how do you turn on the sign-in alert?
Mm-hmm.
If you
To
click
a couple tell us more about it, and
Yeah, I mean,
couple.
I mean, super easy to do. If you click on the lead's name, it opens up into the lead's detail area. Under activity, you're going to see the little subscriptions. It'll say filter subscriptions. Under subscriptions, there's a toggle that says My Alerts. Then it turns on the sign in alert. So what happens is every time that lead logs in, you're going to get notified. Now, here's the deal. Don't turn that on for everybody. I asked all the time, everyone's like, oh my God, that's awesome. I'm going to turn it on my most active leads. No, don't do it. I like to turn it on my unsubscribes so I get notified when they log in so I can give them a call, or my past clients, my people that have already bought from me. So when they log back in, I know they're looking at possibly making another move or buying investment property. I keep it pretty basic. If you turn it on to somebody that is constantly looking, or it's going to alert you too much, what happens is it becomes white noise and you're like, oh, it's just that, and then you start ignoring it. So keep it pretty specific.
And when we follow up, can we have maybe is there like some documents we can send out for folks on how to do that or how to turn that on, or is that in the
There's probably something
resource?
in the help section that talks about
Yeah,
this alert.
yeah, yeah. We can look at that. I would think, but uh, I'll look at that. It's one of the things that I want to make sure that we 'cause I know it can be hard, guys, when you can't necessarily share live databases to folks because of the contact information.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of
uh
those, we had talked about that because I mean, as much as I'd love to be able to like share my screen, we do it at CINC University, but there's no recordings.
yeah, yeah,
This
yeah,
being recorded, we actually have our live database of their emails, addresses, phone numbers, and I mean, I don't think that's covered in the terms of services and agreements
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
the
yeah,
lead signed in on.
yeah.
Um,
um
so
oh,
let's jump back because I know people are trying to like go off onto some other areas of
yeah,
the sign and alert and sync numbers and all of that. Like I want to
uh,
stay more focused on like there's definitely help sections and stuff that'll do that. But let's talk about getting our database organized, getting it cleaned up. Like, what does that look like? Right.
Yeah.
So, again, daily, I'm out there, I'm going through the different pipeline stages. I go into no stage set. If there's anybody in there, I got to go through that list and determine where do they go. If it's overwhelming, at the end of the day, like I look at it and be like, man, there's way too many here. I'm just going to default and move them all to attempted contact. Here's the worst thing that happens is they log in, you call them and realize it's a past client. Have a great conversation with them, and then at that point, you can update them in your database.
Yeah.
Um, Contacted. I'll look at my contacted, and I'm, again, scrolling through that list, and I'm making sure that they're either being followed up with or they're still actively logging in. Um, Appointment set. Go in and you look at your appointment set, and I looked at mine the other day and I was like, shoot, and in real life, I mean, I was guilty. We had 3 of them that were in there that they hadn't logged in like 3 months. And so I had to reach out to my agents. I was like, hey, is this really an appointment set, or are you just trying to get extra credit? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, nah, my bad. I forgot to move them in the pipeline stages. So we got to move there. Here's where it also happens. We get them into active client, meaning they're ready to list or go out and look at homes. Well, not everybody that's willing to go look at homes with us turns into an offer or writing a contract. We leave them there and we forget about them. If you're no longer showing them homes, move them back to contacted with some kind of a reminder, no more than 30 days. If they're not worth that reminder anymore, put them back to attempted contact.
Yeah.
Once a month, and same thing with pending. I've watched people that they'll have a pending contract, but then appraisal, home inspection, uh, financing falls through, something falls through, and they're no longer pending. They leave them there. Well, they're no longer pending. You got to get them back into that right bucket. So, I actually have a safe filter that I create once a month that I go out. It's contacted, pipeline stage. They've logged in the last 90 to 5,000 days. And when I scan through that list, if I notice my agents haven't touched them in the last 90 days, they're going to
Yeah.
get moved. If
Yeah.
they're not logging in and they're not communicating with us, they're getting moved back to attempted contact. And there's
Yeah.
a mass action that you can do. You can select everybody on that list and then do a mass action drop down that says move pipeline stages.
Yep. And I did see a couple ask that when that's moved, is there any automations that are going out separately in there? Is there anything that someone should worry about? What might be set up in the CRM if you move, like that it would trigger or
No, if anything, that's going to help when you're doing the reigniting. If you have behavioral set up, um, and then you're using AI, when I move stuff back and they log back in and it's been a
yes,
little
sir.
while, behavioral is going to kick off.
Yeah.
And if you're also using AI, when that behavioral kicks off, then Alex is going to jump right back into that conversation and help re-cement that relationship with us.
Yeah, and that's been the coolest thing just from, I've 12 years on the tech side of real estate. That's been amazing to me is to watch Alex, how she's grown just within our product line and the way she's handled some leads has been pretty cool to see. Not to say that replaces everything or not to,
Yeah,
I know as a coach, you're probably like, "Well, where are you going with this?"
yeah,
But
you're good.
it's just been awesome to,
It,
some funny conversations
well,
you see.
so again at CINC University, it's so funny whenever you sit there and you watch the room. So we were in Dallas. I think we had 84 people last week, and it was a mix of like big teams, solo agents, right? And
Yeah,
everything in between. It really comes down to your resources. And if you have a lot of resources, maybe you don't need as much automation. If you don't have as much
yeah,
automation, you're going to have less unsubscribes.
right.
But when you don't have a lot of resources and you're a solo agent or just like a smaller team, well, yeah, it's nice having that safety net of behavioral
Yeah,
messages, Alex picking up some of the slack for where we left off. Just know, I kind of call it what's that show, Gold Rush. If I go out and I pan for gold, I'm less likely to miss gold pieces. It's going to be in that little pan. But when I start running
yeah,
through that, what is it, the sluice box, like in the tailings coming out, there's probably gold left in those tailings. but how much money did they make on the other end, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure,
you
and
know,
it's been cool
there's
to see. I feel like last week we had a cool little surge of people just sharing some unique stories. I always encourage everyone to do that in the owners community because it's just awesome to see. In today's day and age, now everyone shares wins like we probably should. So it's cool to just see everyone's like wins, whether it be a short win, because yeah, those are everyone's favorites that are the cherry pick, so to speak. But it's also amazing to hear like how many people's success can come off of just one person, right? Like one lead that they got. Like your story earlier, there was one in the community where they had mentioned, four different transactions, right, off of one lead, and it's awesome to kind of see that. But they're all like, I'm curious to how many folks in our chat today have been to one of the sync U's that Lance has ran, because that's usually what I see in the CRMs all the time. Um, is like, hey, I've learned so much from Lance. Like said, I got to see all his fans from those he's helped. Uh, and it's cool. It's cool that how many even come back in. Because what would you say, Lance, from your years of people that come in, get that structured, cleaned up database, but then don't realize it and it slipped away? Is there anything that kind of an overall trend you see, or is it just no, they just didn't stay with the basics?
I mean, it's staying with the basics. And what happens is, I mean, and it's so funny because everyone's like, "Where's the advanced class?" And we're like, "This is all in one. Like, if you do
Yeah,
this, you're gonna make money." And
yeah,
and it's that foundation. But I mean, we've got some of the great ones. You were talking about Chris. I mean, Chris was actually in Dallas. Chris is probably in the lead for one of the most sync U's attended. We got
yeah,
Daniel that comes to a bunch of them. A lot of people know Josh Rumble out there. I mean, as they're all coming through, and then that's where their foundations have all been built, right? And,
yeah,
and kind of growing off on it. Uh, you got to come more than once, but like, don't feel you got to come every month. I always say, come
yeah,
learn what you can, implement, and then whenever you come back, you're going to kind of be wearing a little bit of a different hat and you're going to hear things a little bit different. And then you're
yeah,
able to absorb that point to go back in and then implement a little bit more. And where I was at in my business in 2013 is different than today. So I mean, there's different roads that we have taken to get to where we're at today. And as you go into different growth spurts and what your makeup of your team looks like, we got to make a few changes. What gets
yeah.
you to 100 transactions is not going to be the exact same thing that gets you to 200 transactions.
Yeah, I appreciate that. What is there any things to that maybe I haven't asked or we haven't asked because we went on some tangents of that you definitely want to make sure you get the point across, or for people to look into, to talk to their success team, success coach, or to call in like some kind of strategy points?
I think the leading off of this call, everybody that's on here, especially if you're an owner, you need to take the next 30 minutes after this call and go through your database and start getting them organized. Now, you might not be able to get them all done. You might have to go back to your team to be like, "Hey, make a list. Like, hey,
Yeah,
you got all of these people here. Are you communicating with them all? If not,
yeah,
we're going to move them, right? And
yeah.
don't feel bad about moving them. Just get that
I'm
data
about to say,
organized.
any laws of the land that you keep, like any laws of the land for, hey, you can only, if you're the team owner and you've got a team of four, like uh any that you say, hey, you can only have this many attempted
So
contacts
Well, it's not attempted contacts, but so we run what's called the
or
pond. So
contact.
all leads go
Yeah.
into one main account, and then all my agents are allowed to go in and fish that pond. So
Okay.
as the wildlife resource officer for our pond, I limit them to 15 leads in their own personal account. But the only way we move that lead to their personal account is it's an appointment set. Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, I feel like it's my duty to help my agents close deals.
Yeah.
And so as a team, that's what I love about the pond. As a team, the whole team nurtures everybody while they're in a nurture process. But then as they become appointment set, those people that are setting the appointments are grabbing these things and they're ready to go. And that 15 is their next 15 paychecks.
Yeah.
Um, I don't feel like I don't know. I mean, when I talk with a lot of people, I feel there's like a little bit of a hoarder mentality of I need to have them contacted because if I move you to contacted or appointment set, it makes me feel like you're
That's where me as a sales guy, I feel like, not saying I would, I'm saying with the sales reps, just, and I mean that in any industry, it feels like that everyone worries about their pie getting cut. So I don't know if there was something that you do to kind of map that, or is it just like a, I used to tell brokers and team leaders all the time, at the end of the day, if your agents don't trust you, like that's a whole, like no system can solve that. But
yeah. Well,
um
and that's why again, I mean, like you stay in the pond until it's an appointment set. Once it's an appointment set, then whoever that agent was that booked that appointment takes over the ownership of it until it closes, and then we move it back to the pond. But the rest of it, again, they all stay in that pond and attempted contact and contacted for that long term nurture and follow up. What that allows is my agents is to go out and focus on their next one. So take the like this week is fall break up here in Tennessee. And Matt's got two young boys. So when I was talking with him towards the end of last week after we got back from Dallas, he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be out of pocket a little bit next week, fall break. We're gonna head out to the mountains." And I'm like, "Cool, go." Well, do you think he's got some reminders that are due this week in the database? Yeah, and Matt's really good about it. He's like, "Hey, I'm still going to log in," and I was like, "But if you don't, guess what? We got agents that are here that can pick
yeah,
up the slack." And so that means that all of our reminders are getting done. I would rather have more quality leads and contacted, appointment set, appointment met.
yeah,
Like I would rather have less leads in there, but quality
I
than
get what you're saying.
than
Yeah,
move them
that,
all in there because I don't know. It's just reporting the numbers.
yeah, yeah. How many do you really have? And
Yeah.
that's the even the age old marketing. Like I've been sitting with, like, I remember I was at Tom Ferry's office many, many years ago, and it was that mindset of, hey, how many contacts? Like, cause he's kind of the same, that same verbiage, right? Where he's like 300. Is he said something about this? And I was like, it seems so low that I was like, excuse me? Like, how many? He's like, well, I'm not talking about just I've got plenty of contact information, but like, how many do I really have that I'm marketing to, right? That I'm in
Yeah.
direct conversations with. And he's like, because everything else is just, either maybe trying to boost an ego, or maybe you're trying to, compensate for something. But it's like, it's crazy to see like that side of, because, I'm not saying the other one doesn't work. I mean, you know better than me.
Yeah.
It's just interesting.
Well, but again, I mean, what by doing this and keeping my database organized, this now lets me create different re-engagement campaigns.
Yeah.
And so like I joke around about some of the silly stuff we do. We'll create pocket listings. Like what do we got? Halloween coming up. After that, we got Thanksgiving. It was years ago. Matt and I were arguing over the best way to cook a turkey. And originally from Michigan, I'm like roasted, and he's like, "No way, man, deep fried." Which both of
Deep
us agree
fried.
now.
Hey, all
Well, both of us agree now. Smoked is the best, but we were joking with it. So what we did is we went out and we created a templated email, and then two pocket listings with two turkeys in there, right? And we
right.
sent that to now at this point we sent it to our entire database. This was years ago. Like I don't recommend that anymore.
Yeah.
But we got some engagement on that. And because here's what happens is if a lead in my database, they're not opening up emails and they're not logging into the system, at some point all of our automation slowly turns off.
Yeah.
Well, that's no good, right? So we have to manually send stuff out there to try to get like clickbait, try to get them to
Yeah.
open up. Because the second you open up an email, my automation turns back on again. So we like to do that. Well, instead of trying to blast it to the entire database, because now like we got quality scores for email providers and things like that. We want to make sure that we're more targeted. And as your database grows, you need to be a little bit more targeted with it. So I generate leads in Nashville, Franklin, Hendersonville, Mount Juliet. So I've got all these little niche target markets that I can every month I pick one. Who do I want to
Gotcha.
focus on? Who do I want to focus on this month? And we'll maybe today's like uh I don't know what today's national day is, but we did one year. It was pumpkin cheesecake day. And so we ended up popping out some ones. What's your favorite? Today's pumpkin cheesecake day, but what's your favorite pumpkin? Is it pumpkin latte? Is it pumpkin pie? Is it pumpkin cheesecake? and we sent it to that, but we also created these things around certain price points. The cool thing when you create these pocket listings, say I did one in Franklin and I said it's a $750 latte or $750,000 latte, it's going to pull similar homes to what I built this thing around. So now
Yeah.
while you're playing along with my little, I call them reindeer games, you're going through as a consumer looking at everything on that sheet, right? And then all of a sudden you start seeing similar properties. Well, if you're looking in Franklin and I'm sending you stuff that are houses in Franklin, I'm more targeted to you, right? If you're looking at Hendersonville, I'm not going to send you a retargeting campaign for Franklin because you have no desire, you don't care about those ones. So that allows me to go in and generate these little retargeting campaigns, um, and be able to kind of have fun with it. I'm seeing some
Yeah.
people are coming back. Must be Taco Day today.
Yeah.
Uh,
Taco Tuesday.
yeah, Taco Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
So you know, it's fun things to get people re-engaged back in because I still go back in and I say there's a lot of people in my database that thought about
Oh,
wanting to
National
buy
Taco
real
Day.
estate and then something in their life changed and they quit thinking about it. So it's our job to replant those seeds, fertilize it in hopes that
Yeah.
we're able to pick them out again. And this just makes it easy. I mean, we have a multi-pronged approach that we do with it. I do some of my silly stuff. Matt's got some campaigns he'll send out with. Yeah, for those that don't know, I mean, I think you, Matt Feathers, he handles all my automation, all of our texting. He works directly with Jeff and those guys over there on the AI to help make that product even better. So
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, first, like, I know we're coming up on time. Like, thank you. I know it can be a lot, and you've just coming off of a CINC training, so the travel and everything to be able to meet with us and chat with us, and we'll send out this to everyone that attended. We'll send out the recording. We'll also try to maybe give some tidbits that folks could do to maybe some reminders, some ahas to kind of like one like 3 or 4 or something we can get with marketing to add in there so that we, kind of get you in this step. I would always say go to sync you, right? Because I mean, you guys do an amazing job of not only the events and moving around the country, but also, you've even done a lot more viral stuff. Or whether, if we get feedback of like, hey, have Lance back home, but get in the weeds of, not to sign you up for it, Lance, but if we
no,
get
I
feedback on certain topics, and it, because I get it, like sometimes getting somewhere could be tough. Like I'm more than happy to continue to hound and asking, but you do an awesome job of making sure folks understand the system, sharing your stories, but keeping it simple. I think that's the thing. We always, as sales folks, want that great magical pill. But at the end of the day, sometimes keeping it simple, stupid. That's what my granddad used to
yeah.
say, and it's like yeah, it really goes a long way.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to think of like what I can do to help the ones that were around here to be like, hey, let's walk through. I don't know if maybe we can do like another one of these with the attendees that were just on this one.
Yeah,
With
like a private one or something.
maybe get them to pop on a Zoom, but we can't record it.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And kind of more of like a VIP invite since they made this one
yeah.
here, and then I can kind of actually do a share screen with them as well. Uh,
Okay,
I
cool.
mean,
Yeah, no,
if that's
yeah. See
something
it.
that if that's something that some of you guys would love the idea,
Hey,
I don't
you
know.
getting a lot of yeses in here. So I'll help you. Oh yeah, a ton of them. So cool. It sounds like we might be sharing calendars again, and
Yeah,
we'll get to that so that and appreciate you doing that because I know you have your real estate as well. But yeah, it's always a wealth of knowledge and much appreciated, my man. Um, and looking forward to continuing to make more successful sync clients, right? And yes, are you going to be in Atlanta next month? I said yes. I mean, you're always.
I'm at all the
Yeah,
sync
yeah,
universities.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah,
like, I'm pretty sure I knew that answer, but
it's
um,
it's
yeah.
funny because since I'm up talking the first day and a half, I noticed this in Dallas. I've actually seen it in the past where since I'm up talking, they always go in the back to like Matt or Zach for like help.
Hmm.
So then the afternoon that Matt goes up and talks, they wait until Matt's done talking to go back up and ask him for help because they're so trained to that. But I absolutely love this. I mean, this is one of those that when it comes to database cleanup and stuff, I know there's some people out there that are trying to charge money and stuff to like, hey, I'll clean your database up for you. Save your money. You can do it yourself. Like, and if I got to jump on a quick do a webinar to help you guys and give some tidbits, um, those are all little things that super easy to do. I always tell everyone, you can follow me on the um, Facebook on my Facebook page. You just got to put up with a lot of my Jeep content because we do a lot of that. But Facebook Messenger is always a great way. I mean, if you got like system questions, like hey, as a team, how would you run this? Or I'm struggling with this one. Uh, if you got stuff that's broke, I'm not technical support. I can't help you there. Stick with technical
Yeah,
support. But,
yeah. Awesome, awesome.
really quick,
Oh,
Carolyn had asked percentage of
yep.
success once the database is cleaned up comes down to your daily habits. At the end of the day, it's really your daily habits. This just makes it a lot easier for you to know what targets you want to go after. I always say this. I mean, like if you have zero business, you need to spend all day prospecting. Spend all day on the phone. As you start getting business and you start setting up some of the appointments, then you can kind of scale back to 90%, 60%, but at some point you still need to prospect minimum of 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, once in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon. And I know some of y'all jump on those conversion classes with Christine and John. I mean, those are helpful on what to say on the phone. And yeah, we'll pick out some more of these contents to help you be a little bit more successful utilizing the platform as well.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you. Hope the weather clears up in Tennessee. Hopefully, it's not coming to me in Charleston. But but thank you, my friend, and see all you guys very, very soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Troy.
All right, brother. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Bye
Bye.
bye.